Alright. Well, this might actually end up being one of my shortest videos. I mean, maybe compared to 6 Underground, but for different reasons than that one. That one actually may not actually turn out that long, but it didn't take me very long to record it, so... So there's that. Anyway, hi, my name is Sense, and this week I watched The Gentleman. So I haven't seen Snatch, I haven't seen the other movies. Most people refer to when they talk about his movies, but I really enjoyed Madam Uncle, and that was honestly enough for me to watch this one without even needing to know any more information. So, I mean, I could look at, I have, a little list of what I wrote about it. It's roughly a lot of me saying the exact same words over and over again because I really enjoyed this movie. I basically have to say, that's great, let's start from top, great directing. Just having the characters and the way the people, the actors and everything, the situations that were set up and how they interact with each other. Like, the way, only one character was maybe a little weaker than all the others, but for them to balance like at least 6 characters and have them all play off each other and play off the situation so well, it really has to do with just great directing from Guy Ritchie. I also have to say the acting for those characters was just amazing. Like, not only is the writing good because each character has like a little bit of like history built in, they have stuff about them that's not even apparent from the dialogue or whatever, but just the way they interact with the world around them, the way they interact with each other, you can build this whole history to them, and it's just so well done. But also the acting itself was just so good. Like, there's some scenes here you're watching a single character just talk for, I didn't time it. I mean, I was sitting there in the theater the whole time just interested in what was being said. But I know it was like kind of like a monologue for several characters. Just times where the whole scene could just be 2 characters going back and forth for who knows how long. I'd imagine something like 10 minutes now. Not that crazy, but probably at least 5 minutes. Just characters going back and forth, just talking. But just the way they're written, just the way the actors play it out, is just so good. Like, and the other thing I gotta say about the acting is, in Guy Ritchie, there's like a lot of humor and a lot of funny situations being said, but there's also a lot of understated humor, a lot of humor in the situation, and just the way these characters are interacting can be funny more than what they're actually saying. So I think it was very, like, most of the actors, I think almost all the actors really did a really good job of having scenes where they were like more over top, more bombastic, more delivering these crazy jokes, these crazy lines, and the other scenes where they just needed to have a little look, a little raise of an eyebrow, a little bit of an eye shift, and you're just immediately drawn into what they're trying to say. You immediately understand it. I'd say just great acting. All right, it's been a couple days, and I was just editing the footage I shot and realized I filmed that right after I saw the movie, by the way. And then I realized I forgot to actually mention the actors. I said it was good acting, but I didn't actually mention the actors or why specifically I enjoyed it so much. So here's just a little next day movie magic, me talking about it. So I enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed all the acting. One character I felt was a little weaker, but I feel like that's more the character, not the actor. I thought the actor did pretty good with the way it was paced out and everything. But I have to say a special shout out to my favorite 4 from this movie, which is McConaughey himself. He did a good job. Who knows if I pronounce his name correctly. But I enjoyed his character. He has some good moments. I really enjoyed how he interacted with some people in there. I don't think it was really too far out of his wheelhouse for how he normally acts, but I still think it was a good, solid performance, and I definitely enjoyed his character in this movie. Colin Farrell is another actor. I really enjoy his character in this movie. It's a little different than a lot of other stuff I've seen him in. I haven't seen him in too many stuff, but I always enjoy his acting whenever it is, and this was another great kind of performance. He wasn't as involved as all the other characters. Other characters doing this and that, going this way and that way. He's just here to be himself. I mean, it was really fun though. It's from his opening scene to his last scene to all this stuff. There's also, if there's one scene in here I like to use in a future GIF or GIF, if that's how you prefer to pronounce it. I would say GIF though. There's like a couple reaction shots he had, which were just so good. I would like to find those as soon as it comes out on DVD, I'm sure somebody would put it online somewhere. But he was a very good character. Really enjoyed his little journey as well. Hugh Grant was another character I really enjoyed. His But I mean, he had to say so many funny lines, so much. He had so much good material to work with, and he really nailed it. I really loved his character. I loved his little facial expressions. I love his little moments. There's a few little gestures he did that were just so, and they were so. They just screamed personality and character so much. Like, you can write so much into the dialogue, write so much into where you want people to move, but you need somebody to go in there and take those directions and just embody it. And he just did such a good job, in my opinion. And then I have to give my final one to Charlie Hunnam. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. I have seen Pacific Rim and I've seen a couple other things, but this is definitely an amazing movie for him. I really enjoyed a number of his scenes, and his character was just so interesting, and so I love his history as well. They don't really go into it, but you get a lot of hints of it, and he was such a great character. I'd love to see more of him, honestly. This movie doesn't really need a sequel, but if they did, they better have him in it. So in terms of script, it was also very well done. It has so many twists, so many directions, you don't even know where it's going half the time, but at the same time, you still feel like you understand it. Like, it still gives you this broad framework of like a crime story that you can understand. You understand these character struggles, you understand what's at stake, all this other stuff right off the bat, but still, the way it all fits together, the way it moves, you just can't really see where it's going, even if you feel familiar with the whole situation. I've also got to say the editing was really good. I'm always a big fan of some over-the-top editing, some editing that catches your eye but really delivers the story and intent, as well as, you know, a lot of times there's like invisible editing and stuff like that going on, but sometimes the edit really stands out, and you're like, and this movie I think really delivered on that. And right off the bat, the first beginning scenes, you just have your characters talking, whatever, a few long shots, but then immediately they start, well, not I guess slight spoilers, not really spoilers. They start playing with the ratio of the screen and all this other stuff right off the bat. The way the sound kicks in and out in certain situations. The way somebody says something and then immediately cuts to something that references it, but not exactly it. I mean, it's just amazing the way that was done. I really enjoyed it. Reminds me of watching like an Edgar Wright kind of movie. Like, it's not exactly the same, obviously, but it's another one of those movies where you watch and you feel like the editing just really makes everything fit together so nicely. You have the characters, you have the music, you have all this stuff going so well, and then the editing just comes over and clicks it together into just such a nice cohesive, I guess you could call it kind of cohesive mess, but not really. Like, I just really like it, but it is a little bit, I guess a little bit, I don't know if I want to say the word scattered, but a little bit of not as naturally clear. I guess, like I said, it's keeping you on your toes, and it already expects you to have some expectations, so you can play with that somewhat. But I really enjoyed it. Editing is just another thing I have to say was really good about it. Probably sounds at this point I'm saying all kind of praises all over the place. There were a couple negatives. Not like one negative for me, one where I feel like it might be just a negative for general audiences. The main thing I felt was there was a few too many. So many things were happening, so many things were thrown at you, so many little situations were popping up that sometimes it was a little hard to. I mean, it's good to have some stuff happening off screen, I mean, that makes sense, but sometimes it's a little hard for me to immediately grasp, oh, this is what happened off screen, to go with this scene, because we already were moving on to the next thing so quickly. So there's a few situations where I felt like they lost me a little bit. I don't think that's really the fault of the filmmaking or anything like that. Like, I went and saw that movie with someone else, and they were able to immediately point out what was happening. I was just one who got lost in it. So I don't want to say it's the movie's fault, or I don't specifically want to say it's my fault either. I'm just saying it's just like a little bit of a thing to just have so many things thrown at you so quickly sometimes. And then the other thing is I guess I could say another third one. I didn't have an issue with it, but it is definitely more of like an R movie versus PG or something. So there's a decent amount of language and some situations that come up, which is a little bit uncomfortable. But I mean, I saw the whole movie just watching it sitting there. Couldn't do that for all the trailers. So I have to say, in terms of uncomfortable stuff, I felt more uncomfortable looking at some horror movie trailers than I did looking at this movie. But that's just me in general squeamishness about more of the gore stuff. Which this movie I didn't feel was bad. There was some blood or some other stuff like that, but it wasn't bad at all. And the other thing, which is one of the reasons why I really enjoyed the story, but I can see it being kind of a negative, is that the story is just constantly twisting and twisting and twisting. You think you got something, here's something totally different. It's not really out of left field, but a lot of it is not really super clearly set up either. It's just you're like, oh yes, I saw a blank. Oh, I thought this. Oh, I got this. Like, you know, you can put it together as if you're watching on the fly, just throwing pieces together. But in a way, the story just keeps twisting it and twisting it and twisting it and twisting it. I know some people are really not a big fan of stuff like death flags or whatever, you know, in a story where something happens, you're like, oh, this is for, you know, this is setting up for this person to die, only for the story to say, yeah, we set that up because we knew you would see that. We weren't planning to kill them. You know, some people don't like those kind of twists on top of twists on top of twists. I really enjoyed it. It made for a really enjoyable watching experience, but I can also see that being something of a negative. And the other, I kind of hinted at it earlier, and I don't want to get into spoilers, but there is one character where some of the scenes with this character and the way they talk and everything was set up ended up being something of a drag. In the terms of the flow, like people are saying jokes, people are lines are going, everything's lined up so nicely, and then you have like this one character who ended up, I felt, having too much to say in some scenes and just felt flat, and even while watching it, you're like, it's a little grating, this is a little, what is this person even talking about anymore? Why are they going on so long? It depends. I think had something to do with how the character was written, maybe a little bit to do with the actor as well, but I feel like it was more with how the character was written, because all the other characters, like I said, they had long scenes. Some characters were just monologuing for 2 or 3 minutes straight, and it was fine. This is a character who 30 seconds talking, and I'm like, why is this person dragging, you know? I just think it was a little bit of a miss. Either they needed to, in my opinion, tone it down a little bit or go even more over the top, something to make it fit a little better with everything else. But I think that's about it for the negatives. So I couldn't make a spoiler review of this one. I don't think I really need to. I really enjoyed it. I really feel like most people should be able to just watch it and enjoy it on their own. So I guess I'll just wrap this up with talking about my rating of this movie. I would give it a 5 out of 5. My first 5 out of 5 on the channel. Honestly, finished watching it, and if someone right now walked in this room, kicked open the door, like a Kool-Aid man holding a DVD copy somehow, fresh out of the theater, was like, hey, wanna watch this right now? I'd probably watch it, honestly. Like, I can't think of, yeah, I'd watch it right now. 5 out of 5.